Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Justin, aka Moonside, a sound and visual artist from Charlotte, North Carolina. You are watching From Scratch, a web series where I break down a beat that I made. In today's episode, episode 2, we go over a beat that I made with no samples inside of Reason. So for the first instrument, I started with the Layers synthesizer inside of Reason Studios. I used the Layers Quadrasonic sample player, the preset Marathon sequence, and all I really mess with on these parameters here are the volume knobs and the octave knobs here. And I'll go ahead and play what I actually wrote, which is a very simple sequence. And it has a really nice bounce to it already. I'll just go ahead and play it in the sequencer here soloed. So I almost played it pretty perfectly here on the keyboard. But I just figured that has such a nice bounce to it. I'll probably go ahead and just make like a trap beat with this, some sort of like trap rage type of beat. So I added some 808s to the mix. Because there's one note kind of happening and droning on with that synth sequence, I felt like it would be really good to have a 808 underneath it or something that's giving like some different chordage. So I came up with this. And the next thing I moved on to, which I'll go ahead and solo out these drums and show you what the drum pattern is, and then I'd like to go over what I actually did. And as you can see here in the sequencer, there's a lot of audio files. I actually use a Monty Booker drum kit for this. I don't know which one specifically, I can't remember. I found a bunch of sounds that I really liked and I just altered them, and I came up with this little pattern here, which is this. There's two separate hi-hats that are playing here. There's some hi-hat pan automation. There's some pitch automation. It felt like I had something really solid already. I'll play all of these together and then I'll go over the drums. So let me go ahead and go over to the rack window here and I'll show you these drums. So for the kick, I added this amazing preset, which is in the Reason effects folder. If you go under dynamics and hit the drums, you'll find this clicky bass drum. And if you open up the device here, you'll see that there's an equalizer, a compressor, a maximizer. And all I did really was mess around with this high shelf for the kick, and for the M-class compressor, moved around the ratio a little bit and the threshold, and for the maximizer, I turned on the soft clip. For the snare, I just added a pulverizer with a snare bump. For the rim shot that you heard in the drum sequence, I just added a pulverizer with the snare enhancer preset. Another preset with the RV7000 reverb, the drum snare verb. There's an analog perk, which sounds more like a tom. I just added the channel dynamics, brought up some of that input gain, changed the ratio just a little bit, the threshold and the release. The hi-hat is what I really wanted to focus on. I made my own combinator patch for this hi-hat, and I made this a long time ago. I found somebody on YouTube and I can't remember the name, so forgive me for that. I added fresh air to the hi-hats, and the preset I used was Hat Lifter. I took a redrum and threw it into a combinator, and if you right click, you can reset the device. That's what I initially did, and I found my hi-hat samples that I wanted, and I took these RPG8 monophonic arpeggiators, which are also native to Reason, and if you press tab, or if you go up here and press flip rack, you can see my routing, so you can make your own if you'd like. So all I did was, for the ARP1 gate, ARP2 gate, and so on, and the channels back here, I routed it to the gate CB out velocity to the RPG8. And I made 10 of them for 10 different channels. And all I did for each one is I changed the rate. So you can see all the rates are different. And if you click on this combinator and you play, and you can play around with that in the sequencer and make your own sequence of hi-hat rolls and stuff like that in a very, very quick time. For the open hi-hat, I just used another fresh air, the hat lifter, and then I added a crash. So the next thing that I worked on was the Synth Keys. The Synth Keys 1 that I have here, I just added a stereo tool to give it some width. I used the Parsec synthesizer, which is native to Reason, and I used the early keys preset. And all I messed around with here is the volume knob, and I messed around with the amp envelope. I brought the attack up, the decay down just a little bit, and the sustain and release down as well. I made a copy of this with another type of key, synth key, and it's with the Europa, the Fuffins preset, and I copied the amp envelope presets for this as well. I'm going to go ahead and just play these keys on my keyboard really quick and show you what I got. I'm really just following the 808, the bass line. And then for this Synth Keys 2 that I just already explained to you, I'll go ahead and play that for you as well. This is what it sounds like with both of them together. Synth Keys 1 is panned 35 to the left, and Synth Keys 2 is panned 35 to the right. So they both like really complement each other very well. It gives a lot of body. What I'm going to do next is just explain all the tiny little details that I added, and then I'll play everything together. So the next thing that I worked on was this Synth Arp. I used this wave synthesizer. 70s Kraut is the preset that I used. And I did not do anything to this because this really is just a very simple ARP. Give it some more bounce, fill out some space at the back. I added this Synth Lead, which is like this weird warbly synth sound, and I used the Parsec Boxy Vox preset. I put a Ripley on that. I used the Mattia's Choice Delay 2. I think I messed around a little bit with the amp envelope, and I brought up the spread a little bit and brought the volume down, and this is what that sounds like. The next thing that I added was just a few more details that I really thought brought this beat together. I added a Synth Lead wave sample, and I think this is from a Monty Booker kit that I found. I added a master bus compressor, and I added another Ripley delay, and the preset was much needed spice. And this is just one note. I think it was really meant for throwing it into a sampler and creating your own synthesizer with it, but here it is. It's a very buzzy type of synth. I think it really fits well with everything. And then I added this little Vox right here, which I think was also in a Monty Booker kit. And the last two things that I added were this guitar feedback and some strings. So for the guitar feedback, I used a preset in Reason called Feedback Chamber Run under their guitars, and I messed around with these parameters here. I automated this feedback level, and I'll go ahead and play you really quickly what I have. I love this. I use it a lot in a lot of my production. And then I added this Labs preset, which is called Scary Strings Cool. And I took the reverb all the way down, the attack all the way down, and the release all the way down. And I came up with this little line. And that's everything for this beat. There's 17 tracks all together going on here. And I'm gonna just play you what I have, because I didn't show you in the last video what a beat might sound like if I break up all the parts from my loop and kind of structure it as a song. So I'm gonna play everything all together so you can hear everything working together. And then I'm gonna play you like a minute and a half of just like a really quick structure that I put together. Alright, this is the finished product, and I do want to say before I play this, I'm sorry if the mix sounds a little weird or a little off. I have water lodged in my right ear currently, and I'm only able to really hear out of my left ear. So it's been kind of a pain to try to get this finished, but I've been switching my headphones left and right, just using what I have available to me to like figure this out. So anyways, this is what I have, and I hope you enjoy it. From Scratch episode 2. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with someone who might enjoy it. If you're interested in the DAW, instruments, or effects that I used in this video, please check out the links that I have in the description below. Thank you again for being here with me today, and I'll see you in the next episode.